What's going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadskii, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video, and here we have another tier list video for the month of April 2023. And this is a very interesting one because, we're going to have this one, and then we have one more at the start of next month, but then the month after that, well, we got the anniversary coming up very soon, and we know that the anniversary, or the big Super Sugo Fest, will typically change the structure of these tier lists. When we eventually get to the anniversary legends, when they do come out, I'm going to restructure the whole list. I'll likely empty all the lists out and we'll start from scratch again. It's usually the best way to go about it, just to keep things fresh, to ensure that lists, they're in a good spot. So before we actually jump into the breakdown of each individual tier, and also the new characters and the new level limit breaks that we need to talk about, we need to actually discuss straight up what my criteria is for the tier list. So of course we have the power of the unit, so how much damage are they capable of doing. What is the speed of the unit, how fast can they clear content, and how reliable are they at clearing that content, as well as their clear rate, being used as a captain of course, and are they usable or versatile, so you can kind of inject them into a lot of different teams, even when they're not fully boosted, just to get the mass amount of effects that these types of units will provide to your team. So all of those things in mind, let's go ahead and jump into it. So let's start off let's just start off with the pool of units at the bottom. Are there any characters here that jump out straight away as characters that really should be put into this list? To be honest, there's nothing here that really jumps out at me. Well, we've got obviously some of these level limit breaks, which we'll talk about very shortly, like Sabo, for example. His level limit break is very, very good. Carrot's unfortunately not so good. We got Brook, Legend Jack is around here somewhere, and then of course we have V2 Doflamingo as well. So those are the new level limit breaks, which we'll talk about towards the end of the video, of course. But let's just jump into tier number 5 here. So, to be honest, Rayleigh and Corazon, to be honest, he really should be up because his special is really good. And especially when you have it at level limit break 5. I don't know why I had him at tier 5, to be honest, because his special is a lot better than what Rayleigh's is. Despite the fact that you got to remember that their supports are essentially the same. But Corazon as a unit, in my opinion, is a bit better. Some may disagree with that, and that's completely okay. This is my own subjective list. The rest of these seem like okay, like the Rumble Legends are kind of mid, which is unfortunate, to be honest. We have a new Rumble Legend to talk about, which is Apu. Unfortunately, don't have him quite yet. The rest of these characters here, I feel pretty comfortable leaving them where they are. Like, nothing here really screams out at me thinking, like, they need to be jumped up. But, of course, when we get to the anniversary period, when we flush out these tier lists, we can start from scratch and make things a little bit more clear. So tier 4 here, again, none of these characters are like units that I think need to be bumped up. The interesting thing about Nami is that her level limit break is actually very good, and as of the recording this video, we're only a couple of days away from the next Grand Voyage, which is the one that's introducing Arlong. Now, from what we can see, it looks like this Nami is going to be a very key component to beating that content. So depending on how integral she is to that content, she may be buffed, because, beating Grand Voyages is very important. And to be honest, like, Corazon should be, like, near the top of this list. His special's so good, and that support is insane. Let's move on to tier 3, like, nothing really too crazy so far. So as for tier 3, remember that putting with her level limit break is actually very, very good. Blackbeard's solid, you got the Halloween Koala, who sees some use here and there for sure, like, pretty good in the Super Boss Kizunas, for example. Snake Man with level limit break is good. Like, the film Stampede characters are still pretty good. Moria is nice, but pretty outdated, but still usable, to be honest. Like, Moria is actually not terrible. V1 Saji is pretty good still, the Halloween Hybrid. Frankie probably gets buffed up a little bit because he actually saw a little bit of play with the April Fool's event, but the April Fool's event in and of itself was very straightforward, so, you don't really hold too much credence with that. Let's move on to tier 2. So this is where we start getting to a little bit more powerful characters. I think Marco should probably go up a little bit in usage. I think he should be up near the top. Even just as a normal character, if you're just using him for his special for his attack boosting effects, is just really strong. Of course, the best EXP boosting captain in the game. Good Sugar with her 6+, of course, is very good. Tandem Big Mom has good synergy with the New Year's characters, of course. We got Katakuri, my boy Mr. Slam Jam. We got Jinbei. I really wish Jinbei was a lot better than what he was. You got Law and Corazon, still pretty good, of course, utilizing the good synergy with Nami and Robin dual unit for the empty slots. But being able to preemptively get empty slots so that your opponent can't give you bad slots. I really like that gimmick with Lauren Corazon. And they're a Cerebral focused captain, and Cerebral are a very good class in One Piece Treasure Cruise. I think they should be bumped up a little bit as well, to be honest. Their utility is super good, and they have a good support as well. But again, nothing really here that's really screaming out at me that needs to be buffed from where it currently is. I like Kid as the gatekeeper for tier 2. And because we're heading very close now to the point in time where we're getting to the anniversary, wouldn't be shocked if we see another Super Evolution come out for a Super Sugo Fest. And I think, you know, due to the fact of what's happened in recent anime episodes, you know, Law and Kid potentially being Super Evolved would be insane. And because we already had Final Tap Luffy receive a Super Evolution, it's not that far of a stretch to think that Law and Kid could potentially Super Evolve as well. And I believe that, you know, Luffy, Law, and Kid, they were actually the anniversary on Japan, like 2 years ago, I believe. So, you know, it would make a lot of sense if these characters received their evolutions, but we'll have to wait and see. But I do feel bad for Whitebeard, because on paper, he sounds really cool, but they really didn't design this character well. I really, really hope that he gets an eventual 6+. He will get a 6+ eventually, and he's going to be good, but of course we're going to have to wait a really long time for that. Let's move on to Tier 1. So Tier 1, we got some really strong characters in here. So Perispero, I haven't pulled him yet, unfortunately. I really want to get him. I feel like Perispero is, like, he's going to be a super, super underrated unit, because he's a Kizuna legend. Like, not too many people are going to get access to this character. But when you read what he does and use him in practice, he's pretty bonkers. I know some people were actually using him in the recent Kizuna clash that came out versus Garp. People were building teams around him. Dude, Perispero is insane. He's very, very strong. Out of this list here, the one that actually I look at straight away that I think needs to be debuffed, like brought down a little bit, is honestly this Anniversary Zoro. I am not a fan of this Anniversary Zoro, to be honest. The only real part about Zoro that I like is his utility part in his special. The utility special being able to remove, I think it's 6 turns of Threshold, and it's 6 turns of another deep. I think it's Rainbow Shield. It's Rainbow Shield, I'm pretty sure. That component of him is really strong. And yes, I know if you can plan out your team with a Tandem or a Wanderslow and your captain, you get the really unique buffs from him. But like, I don't know, like he's really good in super bosses, for example, but like outside of that, like he doesn't add like a crazy amount of damage, like a super irreplaceable unit. Like if you don't have Zoro, you just use something else. Like it's not the end of the world. I'm not really a big fan of this Zoro, and while yes, you can do some cool stuff with him, I'm personally not the biggest fan of this unit. Like Zoro and Sanji, like I'm not the biggest fan of this unit either, but you know, they got some pretty unique mechanics that you can use. Frankie Tanky, the utility captain, is bonkers, being able to remove attack down, and I think it's burn on the other side of it, so really strong. V2 Odin, not really as usable as a captain. Still okay as a sub, but like there's so many good free spirit and slasher characters that it's actually kind of hard to fit him on the team. And especially because I feel like V1 Odin is definitely way more usable in content, but you know, it's sometimes having this Odin is sometimes very good. The fact that he does have damage reduction, so there's potential synergy with versus Yamato, so there's some avenues you could use him in. I really like the mix, the dog cat, the carrot Wanda. This combo is still very good. And then Luffy, we talked about him last month, but Luffy's kind of weird where, you know, if we had more long-form difficult content, Luffy would be an incredibly powerful, very reliable, top-tier legend. But the lack of long-form content really devalues how good Luffy's going to be. I will say, though, that his special in Kizuna is very good, because the fact that Kizuna is only 3 stages, you can get the best benefits from Luffy if you do use him in that manner. The only real issue is if the opponent has the ability to remove your beneficial effects, because then his orb boost is completely negated. But all in all, I do like what Luffy does in Kizuna Clash at least, but I don't see myself using him too much outside of the Kizuna Clash. Everything here looks pretty solid. I actually still really like Hina a lot. Robin, Jinbei, they've got really good supports, and one of the best utility specials in the game. Base attack boost to give you increased damage, but also removing attack down, removing, I believe it's threshold and defense up, or rainbow shield, I can't remember exactly, but they just remove a lot of stuff, and they have a super swap, which can potentially give you a full border matching slots, and damage reduction as well, so, like, they're just super unique. Very, very good unit. We move on to Tier 0, so this is, we might as well just show the top 5 here as well. So this is the tippy top. Now, I actually do want to change some things. By far and away, Nami is the best legend in the game. Don't really think too many people are going to contest that. I think Nami, as she's been shown, she's just incredible. Like, literally every piece of content that comes out, Nami is so good for. And it is crazy, actually, because they've been boosting Nami in a lot of content. And just the way that she's built, with her special being so utility focused, but also giving you a lot of increased damage with unique buffs that you don't typically see in normal teams. But then also having a super type that can remove more utility, and then having a captain that can also give you a bit of utility. And just across the board, being a self-procking, guaranteed conditional booster as a captain is just incredible. And of course, stacks well with Nico Robin. I still like Uta at number 2. I still like Luffy and the Straw Hats at number 3. As for the rest of them, because of the usage of Kaido and versus Yamato, I actually like them in the top 5, and I kind of want to bump this Kaido down. Mainly due to the fact that he hasn't really needed to be used in a lot of content recently, but Hybrid Kaido is still one of my favorite legends in the game, and he has great synergy, of course, with the recent level limit break given to Jack. Hybrid Kaido is an incredible unit to use with that unit, but I feel like just because of how much more play versus Yamato and Kaido have seen in the past couple of months since their release, I feel like they're a little bit more valuable to own. Super Tandem Luffy, I think, is still incredibly good. As for the rest of this list, though, one thing that is a big omission, I wouldn't call it an omission, but an amendment that needs to happen here is Dog and Cat. I think Dog and Cat are legit almost the top 5 best unit in the game, and I think people may be kind of surprised by that, but man, like, if you're just looking to speed farm content, they are the best speed farming captain in the game. Just in terms of pure speed. Of course, they don't have the benefits that the Dex Dog and Cat have of being able to bypass defensive effects. Same with Legend Carrot, or even Carrot and Wanda with their special can bypass defensive effects with normal attacks. But you can still find ways around that just by having the sheer ability of being able to reduce your cooldown by such crazy margins, and the fact that they boost 4 of the 8 classes in the game, so you get access to essentially half of the character pool, which is incredible. I'm not too sure on the numbers in terms of how many units you get access to, but the fact that Dog and Cat are kind of relegated to being used, you know, with Strength X Quick, but then also Fighter Shooter / a Striker, there is a bit of restriction there. So, and plus the Super Swap and the special of Dog and Cat, they will do legitimately everything for you. And you can just use the rest of your team to give you utility effects, and that's really interesting that they kind of built this character in such a way. This unit is way too good. I don't know why we got, you know, Shank's crew with their 6+, and then we get this unit in their 6+. It's like so much better in almost every single way. Anyways, as for the rest of this list, I think I use Yamato a lot more than I use Bon Clay, unfortunately, so I do like Yamato a bit more. Tandem Kid is really strong, but I don't really feel comfortable putting him over Robin. Like, Robin has just been so good over the past couple months since her release. I kind of want to bump her up. She's actually been like more useful than Roger, even though Roger, like, if you're the type of player that doesn't have access to a lot of really good legends, getting Roger on your account is so good because he just helps you clear everything. Being a rainbow captain, you can use anything as a friend captain. And, I mean, I will say his super type can be difficult to trigger at times, but with the 6+ and the effect from the super type, so good being able to lock those slots now. And Final Tap Luffy, still very good. K-Dad, I haven't used him as much, which is unfortunate, but I do like what K-Dad tries to do. Final Tap Luffy's been super solid. I feel pretty comfortable with how the list looks right now, but now we get to the point in time where we want to go ahead and talk about the rest of the new units. But one thing I just noticed straight away, I kind of want to put Toki down, just because her usability has definitely gone down a lot since her release. She's honestly just being power crept. It's just as simple as that. It's sad because Toki is still one of the mainstays, but it's pretty sad as what it is. It's just power creep. It's how the game goes, you know. But now we get into the point in time where we can start talking about the new units. Let's talk about the level limit breaks first. So Sabo's is interesting. I like what he tries to do here. I like that his special ability is now a utility special plus a damage dealing special, but the more interesting thing about this guy is that his pre-evolution, the strength 6-star version, is kind of interesting and honestly might be better than the 6-star version, 6-star plus version, should I say, due to the fact that the quick Sabo, the one that you see here, his special gives you a boost on activation and then a boost on the next turn after a certain amount of perfects. The strength version, the original 6-star form, is kind of like Anniversary Luffy, where you get a boost on activation, and then you get a boost on the turn after, and then you get a boost on the turn after that. So if you can stack it over the 3 stages, you know, that Lucy could be very good for you. So I really, really like what they've given with Lucy or Sabo, however you want to look at it. In terms of usability, he's way up there. Like, he is probably like around this tier. But remember, he is a Strength X Quick Captain. So you get access to a very large array of characters, and as long as you're not using any Psi or Int characters, so if you're up against any content that is Strength Dex or Quick Focused, Lucy's gonna dominate it, especially with Limit Break expansion and also the level Limit Break 5. After that, Brook, I'm not even putting him on the list. Carrot, I mean, Carrot is usable, like, no doubt. Like, being able to go through defensive effects, you cannot understate that. Probably around this level where Frankie is, like, these usable characters. Not all the time you're going to use them, but they're very usable, and a lot of content is really good. Then you got Jack. I think Jack does deserve to be on the list. He's a rainbow captain at the end of the day. He's got orb chain. He's now a chain boundary unit, which is kind of bizarre. So I think he does deserve to be on the list, but I don't think this is a character that you're going to use too often. I think he definitely deserves to be in tier 4, probably around this tier, maybe a little bit less than Hancock. In terms of usability, probably around here seems fair. Jack is a good upgrade. If you don't have the Psi marker for EXP farming, Jack is going to be great, especially at level limit break 5. Next is going to be Doflamingo. Doflamingo does deserve to be on here as well. He also had a bit of a utility change with his special, where now he removes like defensive effects if you have a driven captain, which is so good. And his captain ability with expansion removes 5 turns of despair, so he has a utility captain now. More matching slots, very similar to Lucy in terms of what the captain does. It's just that Lucy is like a strength X quick captain, whereas Dofi is just a pure driven captain. But you know, Lucy has cooldown captain. I think Dofi also has cooldown, but Dofi has the utility effect of removing despair. So additional effects you do have to take into consideration there. But doesn't boost as many characters as Lucy, and Lucy has boost over multiple different turns, whereas Dofi has more of a utility-focused special that can give you the overkill damage, which is still very good, but also can give you an attack boost instead. I do like him in this tier. I think he's probably around this tier here, to be honest. Probably around K-Dad. Kinemon Denjiro with the utility special, still very good. Yeah, I guess around the Fire Tank Pirates, because they're both, you know, driven-focused characters, so that seems pretty fair to me. But now we get to the point in time where we can start adding new characters to the list. So we've got Sabo, because remember, with the last month tier list, it was at the start of the month. We didn't get access to the Sabo information yet. So I need to put Sabo on the list. Now, to be honest, we talked about it on the Good Great Perfect podcast recently. The way that we kind of ranked the anniversary characters is like, I think Sabo will see the most play out of the 3 global anniversary units, because the double special effect that he has in his captain is incredible. Cerebral focus, but also quick and psi focused. But being able to have double special, and his special being able to give you chain boundary is really good. But also having the ability to remove special bind, and also removing rainbow shield. So you can remove special bind and rainbow shield on 2 separate stages. Like, that is so powerful. And the fact that he boosts a lot of characters, very usable of course. I think that he is around Ace level for sure. I think Ace has the highest ceiling, but I think that Sabo in his usability is going to be a lot higher than what Ace's is. So I'd feel comfortable putting him in here. Sabo's a very good legend. He's an incredibly good legend. And I think he goes up to a 5.4 times captain, which is very strong. So after that, we have the 6+ of Sheng's crew. Now, Sheng's crew was on the list prior to this, but of course we removed him to add his 6+ icon. Now, Sheng's crew, while he wasn't the 6+ that everyone really wanted him to be, you gotta remember, this is still Sheng's crew we're talking about. You still got a very good multiplier captain, you still got a captain that can remove special bind for you, you have a switch effect that is very usable, and then added a super swap on top of it to give you full board of slots and a 2.25 times attack boost. You still have a very good chain lock. It is upsetting that it is not a chain boundary, but you still have a very good chain lock, and you have now additional effects of removing block slots. You also lock your slots for 1 turn. And then you have these weird additional effects, where if you have a quick captain, you get 1 effect. If you have a psi captain, you get another effect. I wish that all of the effects were just generated on special launch, rather than having a restriction behind these 2 different effects. I'm not a big fan of that, per se. But he's still a usable unit. Like, you have to agree with that. He is still a very usable unit. I feel like he's a little bit more usable than the Zoro in more general sense. Zoro is definitely more usable in Super Boss for sure, but you know, in a general sense, I think Sheng's crew is still very good, but it's not a character I'm going to use that often. Like, when you have a character such as good as 6+ Dog and Cat, like, you'd much rather use Dog and Cat over Sheng's crew, which is crazy. If you told me that, like, last year, that Dog and Cat is going to see more play than Sheng's crew, I would have called you a crazy person. But it is what it is. They just gave everything to this unit, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what they're going to be doing in, you know, future dual unit 6+s, because are they going to be like Sheng's crew, where they only give them very minor upgrades, or are they going to be like Dog and Cat, where they kind of overhaul the whole unit and make the unit a very modernized legend release? We'll have to wait and see how things progress. We're nearly at the end of the video here. We've got 3 more characters to talk about. We have Legend Killer, basically Super Tandem Kid's best friend. So if we think about it in that context, like, he's basically on the level of Super Tandem Kid. But in a realistic, like, sense, he's not. He's not as good as Super Tandem Kid, because Super Tandem Kid has more cooldown. He gets access to Super Tandem, which is infinitely more valuable than Killer's final tap. and I feel like what Kid does as a whole is more usable in more content rather than what Killer can do. But you have to remember, you can use them together, and the combination of Kid and Killer together is incredible. Now, a lot of people are just going to opt to, you can just use a full int driven team with this unit, and you could definitely do that. But, you got to remember that both Kid and Killer, they're not int captains. They're actually driven and striker focused units. You can run like these double int leaders, but then still run, the strength driven units or side driven units or whatever. You can still run all these multicolored teams to basically clear whatever content you want, which is still cool. I like that a lot, to be honest. I think Killer is still very good. The only question is where do I want to put this guy? Now, I'm looking at it, Usopp and Yasop, they should probably be a lot higher. They should be in this tier, to be honest. Their special and super boss is crazy. I'm going to put them in here. Killer, though, he's going in this tier for sure. I want to put him in probably around Zora. I don't know. Is he better than Shanks' crew? He's probably better than Shanks' crew because of the Super Tandem Kid scenarios. I kind of like it maybe around here. Kid's very good. Killer's very good, to be honest. I like what they've done with this unit. It's not the best, for sure. They could have definitely gone the extra mile and given him some more interesting effects. And his special being color affinity focused, I've never been a big fan of color affinity focused specials. But if you use his special when he's below 50%, which you can get access to with his super type, that combination with Kid is so good because it adds an attack boost that can be overwritten, and as we know, when you use Kid's special ability, if you have an attack boost, you get an orb boost instead. So because of the way that override attack boosts work, when you use the special of Killer below 50%, and then you use Kid's special, you'll get his attack boost and you'll get his orb boost. Like, it's so strong, and you get the tandem orbs, and you get the defense down conditional, and you get the defense down with the super tandem. The combination is great. It's so good. Next is Hawkins, though. Hawkins is very difficult to rank because he is so unique in what he tries to do. He's a Sci-Int captain, and he gets access to this new mechanic, I suppose, of special counter, where depending on how many specials your subs use, you get access to damage immunity, which is like really weird. I really like what this character tries to do, and I like his super type, how it has the ability to remove special bind. It's very unique. It would have been nice if his captain just removed the special bind innately, but being able to get it from a super type, but then also his super type provides a 2.5 attack boost to both Psi and Int, which is very good. And then of course his special also removing bind and fear, which is very weird. I don't think we've seen any other specials that straight up just say remove fear on your crew by 6 turns, I believe it is. But then the 6 turns of bind removal is really strong too. So I think that this character, he's very hard to rank because he's very unique. There's not many characters in the game that are a one-for-one replacement for what this character does. I mean, there just straight up isn't. And the fact that he does have a damage immunity special as well. You launch the special, you get an orb boost, you get the damage immunity, and then if you got the right captain, you can get the bind and fear removal. He's really cool. I haven't had too much time to play around with him, of course, so I would like to get a bit more of a chance to use him. But preemptively speaking, I feel like he does deserve to be in this tier. Like, I feel like he should be better than Killer, at least in my eyes. I feel like he should be better, but I just can't really say for certain. I feel like putting him around here, maybe around Odin level, I feel comfortable with. It's hard to say, it's really hard to rank, but we'll come back to this next month and we'll see how things change. I assume he's going to be very useful in the upcoming content, specifically the treasure map. I feel like the Hawkins is going to be very key for that, just due to all of the utility that he has. Now, the final character to talk about is going to be Apu. Now, of course, we have to take it with a grain of salt, right? Because Apu, he is a Rumble legend. He doesn't have super type or his super class, so he's got a very weird, gimmicky kit. But I like what they've done. Once again, another unique character, being able to resist tap limit and also blindness for the first 10 turns of the quest. And then a special that, once again, is very similar to the Anniversary Luffy, where you get a boost on turn 1, boost on turn 2, and a boost on turn 3, so long as you can hit those perfects. But very, very differently to the previous units we've seen, he is focused on chain boosting just solely. But also he does a little bit of weird orb manipulation, where he changes top and bottom row slots into super bomb, which cannot be changed by the enemy. So I guess you could call them like a pseudo rainbow slot, right? He does not have an effect in a captain which says that, like, if you hit a good or a great with a bomb slot, you reduce the damage to 0, very similar to this kid. Apu does not have that, so you do have to be careful when you do use him, but being able to generate slots and then lock them, right, that cannot be changed by the enemy, very valuable to have. Now, again, from what we've said, he doesn't have the super type or super class, so you can't rank him super highly, But I think that what this guy has, he can definitely be used. He's a driven and a shooter focused captain, and again, you could use him alongside this kit, a -3 cooldown captain, which is kind of absurd. So I do like him still. I think I want to put him in tier 2, to be honest. Again, very preemptive, don't have this unit, so I haven't been able to test him. But again, I feel like around this driven level is pretty fine. He doesn't have any crazy utility like what Kinemon and Denjiro have, but he has the uniqueness, right, which can be used in some odd form content for sure. But with all of that being said, that pretty much wraps up another tier list for the month of April, and of course next month we have the month of May, so I'm not too sure what kind of legends are going to release this month. Not too sure if we're going to get a treasure map or a Kizuna legend. If anything, I would say that we're more likely getting a Kizuna legend, because, you know, on the off super boss Kizunas, when we don't have a super boss, they gave us Perispero the last time, and then the time before that they gave us the Kizuna Boa. I wouldn't be surprised if we get another Kizuna legend this time around. And then, you know, obviously we've got another batch at the end of the month. But then May 12th, we have the anniversary Sugo Fest, which I'm very, very excited for. But that is going to wrap it up for me. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. And if you guys did enjoy it, make sure to go ahead and leave a like. And if you want to stay up to date with all the content I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. On that, I'll see you guys within the next video.